Okay, just getting people in here. So welcome to the call, everybody. I'm going to give it a few minutes for everybody to come in, and then we will get started. And usually it takes a few minutes for everybody to roll in. I hope everybody's doing well. And I see what Chris Willis is on there. That's awesome, Chris. How you doing, buddy? Mackenzie's back. Good having you back. Rajarshi, good having you back, buddy. Um, Rory, I see you there. Roke. Awesome. Awesome. And this is simulcast. I think this is also live on YouTube, so we get a lot of people on YouTube. Is anybody monitoring the YouTube comments? So we usually get about at least another 100 people there. Anybody on the team monitoring YouTube?
Yes, we have guys there already.
Awesome. Good, good, good. So if you're on YouTube and you can hear me, I can't see your comments, but the team will be there monitoring them and answering your questions, kind of going from there. So, welcome to the Thursday night call. Today, a lot of these Thursdays we've been talking a little bit about the Integrated Man Summit, having different guest speakers that are going to be at the Integrated Man Summit here. Today, I wanted to do something a little different. The Integrated Man Summit is coming up in December. It's going to be in Florida, which I'm really excited to get over to. I love Florida, and I think a lot of you guys know what it's about. It's about all the different fearless coaches, people affiliated with Fearless, kind of getting up and speaking and talking and building and transferring their message. And, we're coming out with a new ebook. The new ebook's going to be on the masculine qualities that really make you attractive under the surface, the stuff that drives attractiveness, energy, your seduction ability. If routines and patterns and things like that have never worked for you in the past, it's because you're not being a guy that's being attractive already. Attractiveness comes with grounding, comes with open heart, comes with connection, comes with attention abilities, comes with all these certain skill sets that we do without thinking. They're kind of like a basketball player doesn't think when he's playing basketball, he just plays. Surfer doesn't think when he's surfing, he feels and projects, but he can't think because if he thinks he's going to fall off that board. So he's got to be in tune with all his muscles as he moves. Well, it's the same thing. When you are really in your grounded state, you're masculine, that's it's a natural part of you, who you are, built to be as a man. And so this seminar is going to be about how each coach has developed those qualities in his own unique way. But tonight, and you guys can see some links for that over there. It's going to be live and simulcast, so you guys can check that out. And tonight, what we're going to be doing is talking with Jhonattan. He is not a coach for Fearless. He may be someday. We'll see. He's a writer. And he came to us about, was it 2 years ago, Jhonattan?
Yeah, it's going to be 2 years in December.
Yeah, you came to us as a writer 2 years ago, and he started writing. And the first event he went to with us was the very first Integrated Man Summit. He showed up at the first Integrated Man Summit to get to know me. And here's this guy that shows up, I'm teaching, got this event, and he starts following me around. His job was to follow me around and learn how I think, walk and talk, and all that kind of stuff, so that he could learn to understand as he's writing the fearless message that we are conveying. And that was kind of his job. So Jonathan's become a major part of our business over the last couple of years. He's been through many events and he's changed his life radically. And he wasn't intending to take a workshop when he came. We were talking about that just before the call. He was intending just to be a writer for us. He really wanted to write. He was developing his writing skills, but because of all the workshops, his life has changed so much and so radically. And so, Jhonattan, where'd you go, buddy?
I'm right here.
Let me see. You must be off my screen here. Give me one sec. There's my cursor. There we go. So I'm going to unpin myself here. I got myself pinned because I was checking the lighting. So tell me a little bit about that first event. That's what I want people to do. We went to that first event. I was super excited, ready to do it. And I remember we took that long walk and I was going to get a haircut. And I remember you followed me down the street and were just asking me a million questions because Cairo gave you the assignment to get to know me. And so tell me about that event. What was that like for you? How did that change the way? Because you said you'd had experience with dating coaching before and you didn't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want to start first with I came to Fearless because I really loved the message. It was not like something that you usually hear from guys in the dating industry. They're always teaching you what to say, how to behave, and I was not really interested in that. And like I told you, I like maybe a year before I went to another event, same about dating, and I was really disappointed by the information that I got from there. I felt like I was a very prideful person, and I felt like I could do everything on my own. And so the moment I trusted someone with my money, I expected some results. And so the moment they didn't deliver, I felt like someone had just stabbed me in the back. And and so I honestly I was not really expecting much out of the Integrated Men Summit. I thought like, yeah, they everybody talks about being different. Everybody talks about teaching things their own way. But when I got there, I could feel the difference just entering the room. So from my previous experience, there was a lot of guys that had, I didn't know back in the day, but there was this wall, this kind of pride in another events that
Pride,
kind of
would you describe it as pride smeared over anxiety?
could be anxiety,
Is, yeah.
but there was it was like a wall. You couldn't really connect with them like at a really personal level. Like I couldn't fully allow you to see who I was.
Now, when I say the anxiety, were they rambly, talkative, all over the place, but you couldn't really feel them, or were they
Exactly.
quiet?
No,
Okay.
it was so it was interesting because the room was divided into two energies, the very talkative, like you said, and big energy, and then the other part, which that was my the group that I belonged to, which was the quiet, the introverted, that pulled back. And so it was very interesting to see that.
Nice, nice.
So when I walked into, you know, the Integrated Men Summit, the first thing I noticed is that everybody was friendly. Like there was no wall. Like nobody was trying to kind of like dominate you, you know, like trying to do something to you. It was everybody was relaxed, everybody was there to grow. They had the same mindset, and I really I felt safe. I felt safe in the environment. The coach is super friendly, and I just knew there was something different there.
Okay, that's awesome. And so, what was your? Well, I got a lot of questions I could ask. Did you get a lot out of the weekend?
I I got a lot more that I imagined and that I could actually practice for the next couple months. There was a
Nice.
lot of information. There was a lot of things that I could just implement right on the spot.
Yeah, we don't hold back. We try to give as much as we can. A lot of the limitation is in how fast you can actually absorb information and actually turn it into through your nervous system and turn it out as a change. Because just hearing something doesn't cause the change in your body. That you got to actually do embodiment based stuff to understand it. And so, just tell me a little bit about the weekend. What was your favorite part? What did you experience? What did you get out of it?
So I mean, everything starts with, you know, like I'm following you around. I want to get to know how you think, you know, the fearless principles, and I'm listening to all these things, and they all make sense. They logically make sense, but I think once I got to really experience, you know, what it really meant to be a grounded person, when you started giving us those exercises, start feeling your body, start becoming aware of your body, and that's when I really started to uh, notice that there was something different in the way we communicated with other people. So I remember going out. My first coach I remember was Matt. He's no longer with us, but he doesn't work for Fearless anymore. But he, we were doing the high exercise, and I remember one of the things he said to me. The first thing he said to me is, "Buddy, you're not feeling your heart." And it was exactly that. It was that wall that I was talking about that didn't allow me to connect with other people. So I was saying hi, but it was very robotic. I've always had this, you know, mentality of going for it and just pushing forward. Like I'm gonna struggle. I'm gonna go through all these challenges and I'm gonna get it done. But there was no enjoyment. There was no passion. There was
So you were
no
trying to
connection.
get to the end result, and you weren't concerned.
Exactly.
You weren't paying attention to the process.
Exactly.
Um, So I want to ask you about that because for a lot of people, I talk about feeling your heart, and a lot of these guys hear me say that a lot. But you being somebody who's gone through the process more recently, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to feel your heart versus when you weren't feeling your heart? Now that you've had an experience of it, I'm assuming at this point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, the best way I can describe it for the people that are not familiar with fearless is there's always you it always feels like you're trying to be somewhere else. You're trying to do something to someone to create a reaction, to get a reaction out of the other person. And there's always like, I think Xantharian says that there's always an agenda, that you're a hidden agenda, right? You're trying to do something. And that's when other people can't trust you. And that's when the wall is created. You can't really, you don't feel safe around other people. You don't feel like you can trust them. You don't feel like you can show them who you really are. You can't be vulnerable around them because you're afraid that they're going to hurt you.
So what does it feel like though to open your heart?
And then when you learn to open your heart, when you learn to really enjoy the person in front of you, there's this feeling of warmth in your chest, and there's almost like you're giving them a hug. You're giving them a hug. You're showing them your love and appreciation for the other person without actually saying any words. And
And
if it,
so keep going. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were done. Go for it.
yeah, and so if it feels like you know the person, um, you can connect with the person. You can feel them. You can, in a way, feel their emotions.
And so do you remember connecting? Can you remember like the first time you connected to somebody and you could actually feel the difference?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was. I remember I was sitting at the airport. I was practicing exactly what I had learned during the weekend. I was learning to feel my legs, relax my asshole, and all these things. And I remember I was like, just looking around, and then this really cute girl, I see her from the distance. She's walking towards me, and I'm like, please don't sit next to me. And then she sits next to me. I mean, the airport was almost like empty, and she decides to sit next to me. And so it took me a couple minutes to ground myself and relax into my body. And and I said, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I'm just going to practice what I learned. And so I started a conversation with this girl, and we locked eyes for, I don't know, like 10, 15 seconds. And it was the first moment that I actually let someone, or that I had that connection with someone, just relax. There was no manipulation. It was like, it's hard to explain, but it feels like you're locked in a bubble,
Yeah.
and you're like, the time stops, and you're just connecting, and you're just enjoying each other without wanting to say something, without having to say something. It just happens naturally.
And that's a powerful state. And a lot of people never experience that because they're afraid of silence. I just did a video on this. It's not out yet, but it's on the power of silence. And a lot of men get the idea that when there's silence, that she's going to get bored. She's going to walk away. I got to keep talking. So did you have the opposite experience in that moment where the silence and the pause actually was almost where the conversation was happening?
Yeah, everything was happening through the conversation, because through the eye contact, because then my body started to respond to whatever, what was happening between me and her. I started to
Nice.
get a little turned on. I started to get a little more nervous, like all this energy in my body, but it was very, very enjoyable.
So in that tension, in that moment with the bubble and where you got the eye contact and you experience the silence, your heart is now open. What happens? You can suddenly feel what? What are you feeling? You're feeling, because normally you would feel what when you weren't doing that? What would you be doing? And then when you do that, what do you feel? And like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, and I don't want to put words in your mouth because I could describe it. But if I put words in your mouth, I want to see what you say. In that bubble and in that moment, there's a whole different set of actions and reactions that are happening between you and the other person than the old way you were being, right?
Mhm.
Can you contrast the difference between those two?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you when you're not in your heart, when you're connecting from this head place, you could almost feel as if you're pushing someone, like you're pushing your energy to them, and your head, your thoughts start to raise, and they want to, you start to think, okay, what do I say next? Is she getting bored? Is she like reacting the way I want to? Because you're not really connected with the heart, you're not connected with the moment. But when you're feeling the moment, you rely. I feel like the more you stay in that, the more relaxed you get, and the more enjoyable it becomes.
Yeah. And there's a sense of exchange of information even when you're not speaking, correct?
Yeah.
And in that exchange of information, you get what? You know what to say next. You don't have to even think about it, do you?
No, it just you're in the moment. It's like it becomes like, I think you talk about flow, right?
Mhm.
It just everything just flows, and then things just naturally come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But and then when someone asks you, it's like, so what did you talk about? I was like, I don't know. I was like, I was just talking to her. I was enjoying the moment.
So nice. Nice. And so do you remember, if you look back in your past before the integrated, because that was right after the Integrated Man Summit, you're coming home from the airport, correct? And before the Integrated Man Summit, do you remember ever walking up to a stranger, talking to a stranger on the street within the first 3 minutes of a conversation and having a flow like that?
No, absolutely not. I was
Yeah.
not. I was not the person that would go out trying to engage people. I was the opposite. I was trying to put a wall so that nobody like approached me. And so I would
Nice.
go in my own little bubble, looking down, doing my own thing. And instead of connecting, I was actually disconnecting from the world because I
That's
was so afraid
interesting.
of connection.
So had you ever tried to flirt with a girl you just met before the Integrated Men Summit, or do you just only waited till you were introduced by a friend, or how did you meet girls before that?
It was only through school. If they were in my class, I would be. I was a. I had a lot of nice guy syndrome.
Mhm.
um, I was really afraid to be honest and forward with women. And so the way I used to meet women was through being nice to them, asking them about, class and do you need help? And fortunately, I was really good uh, I was a really good student and I was always ahead. So if they needed help, I would always be there to offer my help. And that way, hopefully, get to know them and get them to be interested in me.
And so why that seems nice. It seems like a nice thing to do. So why does that not work?
Because it never worked because it got to the point where it was obvious that I liked the girl, but I was not honest and I was solid enough to just point it out. And and it felt like I was manipulating just to be around her instead of actually, like being honest and tell her, you know what, this is what I feel. This is I like you,
Yeah.
and I I want to take you out for coffee.
Nice. Nice. And so the non-nice guy has a way of the nice guy does things he doesn't want to do in hopes that he will get what he wants later.
Always.
And he doesn't do it out of giving, he does it out of taking. Like, how can I get what I want? How can I it's a manipulation. And that's why he's not really a nice guy. He's a subversive guy. He's a manipulator. The true nice guy, which is a good guy that just wants to be nice by choice, loves to give to a beautiful woman because he's enjoying her company, let's say, and vice versa. A woman loves to give to a man, is coming from a place of, I don't have to give to you to feel validated. I don't have to give to you to feel good about myself. I don't even have to give to you to like myself. I already like myself. I'm giving.
Think we lost Brian.
Yeah.
Sure we'll be back in just a moment, guys. Oh, just a Wi-Fi issue.
Okay, he's gonna have to log back in. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the conversation
Okay.
with Brian.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Back. Yep.
I am.
You hear
There was
me?
a small glitch in the machine there. We were about to share some deep information that they didn't want getting out. Okay. I am back. Yeah. So the true, let's fix that picture actually. Okay. So the true nice guy, the true nice guy does things because he wants to, not because he's trying to manipulate. It doesn't mean I don't like a girl. I wouldn't want her to like me back. But if I bought her a drink and she didn't reciprocate, I don't take it personal. I'm still giving to you because I chose to ahead of time. And unfortunately, most guys don't work that way. Also, the true nice guy, the guy who's not a manipulator, isn't afraid of tension. He's not afraid of saying no. He's not afraid of setting boundaries. He's not afraid of breaking up with a girl if it's not right. He's not afraid of ending a relationship. He's really good with being honest to the point of creating a lot of tension through honesty. And that's a whole different breed of animal. So let's talk a little bit more about you. So that was your first event, and you got a lot out of it, didn't you? Hold on.
Yeah, and after that, I went home and I said to myself, I'm just gonna practice grounding, and I know I want to continue to do this work.
We're gonna have a. Hold on one sec. Okay, I have to make sure I don't have a power problem. There's a little glitch going on here. Okay, cool. Go for it again. Say what you were saying.
Yeah, so I went home and I said, I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but this stuff really works. I want to continue to do more. And
so before that, you didn't want to take any more workshops, and then after Integrated Man Summit, you wanted to learn more. You wanted to experience more. That's amazing.
This thing works, and whatever it is. And I was a very skeptical person, first of all, and I was a person that doesn't believe in energy or any of the like spiritual. Like I didn't know any of that, energy and all of that stuff. So coming to the Integrated Man Summit was like, okay, there's something out there that I don't know about, and I have to really learn more about this.
Yeah, it seems very energetic and metaphysical, doesn't it? So we talk about energy embodiment and energies and things like that, but none of that is really that. We look at it as this big mystical thing, and it's not. Mm-hmm. Actually, as we begin to understand it more and more, it becomes very commonplace, and you begin to understand it. Like I look at it as normal and every day. I see it everywhere. Everybody can do this stuff. Everybody's already doing it. They just don't know they're doing it because they're doing it unconsciously. Yeah. Just like electricity. When electricity was first created, it probably seemed like magic. It probably seemed like something from the devil or something from, and now we use it everywhere. Everybody's got, the fact that I'm even talking to you wherever you're at in the world right now is a product of electricity and so much more. And the internet's another magical thing. Cell phones are another magic. All of these things that seem so magical that we take for granted are all part of a subtle world that we can't see with the naked eye. We can't see energy with the naked eye. You can see the internet, but internet is comprised of all kinds of data that you can't see going from place to place all day long, every day. And so the same with heart. The feeling of your heart warming is a subtle feeling that you can feel and everybody around you feels, and it has an effect on who they're being. And if I have my heart open and I'm talking to you with an open heart and listening with an open heart, maybe 10 seconds of conversation, you don't notice much. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of a conversation, and you really begin to notice it. It really begins to have a compounding effect on your emotional state, the way you're talking to me. And the heart's just one of the energies. As you discovered, there were many more energies, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The one that I'm enjoying the most is turn on, right? Turn on for life, and just waking up that part of my body that has been numb for a long time, because like most guys that come to Fearless, they're afraid of their sexual power. They're afraid of their anger.
Can you explain, just before you get too far into it, explain turn on for everybody that doesn't understand it? because you've been learning about it. So
Yeah.
go for
So
it.
for
And
me,
again, this is coming from the perspective of somebody who's newer at all this stuff. That's what I want you guys to hear.
yeah. So for me, turn on is the same thing as creative energy, and you can feel it. It's arousal, and you get that feeling, which is interesting. What is interesting is that I used to, I needed porn, I needed some kind of stimulant for me to be able to access that energy, to feel that arousal, to feel that turn on.
Yeah, and that's when
And
you're alone, nobody's around, you got your computer screen, the girls on the screen won't reject you. You can cut, there's no tension because they can't see you or feel you, and you can cut them off at any moment.
yeah,
So go
and
for it.
so you're able to, access your turn on right away. And then later you discover that turn on is just another energy that you can run and access throughout the day to motivate you. And sometimes it could be a little bit of, it could be tied to your anger, right?
Yeah.
It's this energy to move you forward, to propel you, to say, you know what, today I feel like doing this, and there's this rush of energy and passion for it. And I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get it done.
And do you have a distinct feeling in your body of what turn on is for you?
Yes, for me, turn on just feels like it activates my focus.
Okay.
Like I get very clear about what is it that I want to do, and I go for it. And there's this tingling sensation in the body that makes you smile, that makes you feel good.
It's similar
So
to when you see a hot girl. There's a tingling sensation in the
exactly,
body. And what do you
exactly the
want? You
same.
want to go meet her, you want to talk to her. Even if you're not don't have the balls to do it, there's a part of you that wants to.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So turn on energy. When somebody has a really good relationship, turn on energy, they can penetrate and push through their own stories, fears, doubts, and worries and make shit happen anyways. When they don't, they have a hard time doing that. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, very true. Because what I've realized is that it just activates your ability to focus, because it's so powerful. It's
Yeah.
just like you're penetrating the world.
Yeah. Okay. Can you answer this? We just got a quick little question. I just want to put it up, and I think it's a good question to ask right now.
Um,
How much of this came from just the Integrated Man Summit versus, because you have taken other seminars with us, you've worked with us
yeah.
for a while. How much of this, how much did you change after that first seminar? How much of what happened?
So that one seminar, this was very interesting because I was thinking about this before the call. And what I noticed is I started to, I used to live in my head a lot. And when I started to, like I used to go to my hotel at night when the day was over. And then the next day I'll feel a little bit heavier. And I didn't know why. And it was because I was becoming more embodied. And later I realized that, I had shit tons of apathy. But what I got from the Integrated Man Summit, it made me realize that, that grounding completely changes how you communicate and relate to other people. The ability to connect with people and really hold a strong eye contact. Your ability to say what you want, step into tension. Uh, and the last one is becoming more in touch with my body.
Yeah.
Really like started to feel emotions that never in my life I had really put like words to it or ways to describe it.
So talk about that feeling heavier, because a lot of people associate heavier with apathy, and sometimes when I do a lot of releases and feel more connected, I don't feel heavier. I feel lighter. But then there are other times I feel like I've sunk deeper into my body. So I can see your point, and I can see that I also feel lighter. What is that? Just describe that. You're saying grounding is heavier for you, like not heavy, like apathy heavy, which is a distinct happy. What's the heavy? What's the difference for you?
For grounding and apathy.
Yeah, like you said, you feel heavier when you started to feel grounded. So I'm wondering what that
Mm,
was.
no, I said when I so after the day was over, as the day progressed, right?
Uh-huh.
Maybe Saturday night, I went to my hotel and I started to feel this heaviness in my body, and I didn't know what it was at the time. But now that I look back, it was because my analytical brain was finally shutting down. And so
Mm.
all those emotions started to drop into my body. And I finally started to get in touch with the apathy. And that's
Ah,
why on Sunday morning, I was feeling like this, like stickiness, heaviness, tiredness. And I didn't know why. And like you said, when you first started this work, you start to get worse because you start to get in touch with all the shit that's stored in your body.
yeah,
And
you came out of the spins. You were up in your head spinning, racing, trying to figure everything out all the time.
yes,
And then what happened is you dropped down into your body and felt. And so the first emotion that's the lowest, the heaviest emotion is apathy. And there's apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride, courage. We rise up the scale to a lighter until we get all the way to peace. So for some people, if they've been experiencing a lot of apathy in their life, not everybody is at the level of apathy, but if they've been experiencing a lot of heavy apathy and they've been avoiding the feeling of it, when they first go into their body, they're going to re-experience that apathy for a bit while they get out of it, while they learn to process it. And I did that. A lot of students do that. Not everybody does that. Some people go into their anger. Some people go into their pride. Some people go into courage. Some people go into, it all depends on kind of where you're resting at beyond your being in your head and or being out of your body in a sense. So after that workshop, did it have an impact in your life after taking the seminar versus, taking the other workshops?
yeah, absolutely. I started to immediately, started to change my relationship to my parents, to my family. It almost felt like I wanted to connect with them, and I became really aware of how I was putting that wall to avoid connecting with him, with my family, and how I was getting on my own way to get the things that I really wanted, which I really wanted love. I wanted to be honest with them. I wanted to express my appreciation for them, but I couldn't. I didn't know how to do that. And so starting to get in touch with, with my heart, with my feelings just in general, and not taking them so personal, it was huge for me because um, that's when my relationship with my parents started to first it got a little rocky because I started to express more. I started to own my power now. I started to, like, all of a sudden I was angry and I didn't know why. I was like, why the fuck am I angry? And it almost felt like there was something that was triggering, but I didn't know what it was. And I just didn't make that right or wrong. But I
Nice.
used that to start to set boundaries with my family. No, I'm not going to do that.
Nice.
And yeah.
So you did a lot of work after this. I know you changed a lot and you grew a lot. And so I know you've completely reworked your relationship with your parents. And that's really powerful, guys, because our relationship to our parents has a lot to do with how we relate to life, how we relate to other women, men, people in the world. So I think that's beautiful that you did that. Now, overall, having learned these principles, the new ebook that's coming out, which I think you know pretty well because you were involved a lot in the writing of it. Um, the principles that are in there, how since you've been working with Fearless over a period of time, not just with the Integrated Man Summit in general, which is where we're going to really launch this ebook, what have you learned? How do you use those? Do you use those energies? I mean, how much a part of your life are those energies from that ebook now at this point?
So I think it is very interesting. That question is very interesting. And the reason why is because I'm surrounded by you guys all the time. I'm always talking to you. I'm always talking to Anthony. And so at, at, at a point you start, at the beginning, you start to consciously say, I'm going to practice on my grounding. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like, you start to focus individually on each quality that you want to develop. But after a while, especially because you're surrounded by the people who embody these qualities, it just kind of becomes second nature to you. And
Mhm.
so there's times that during the workshops, you point out where, what are some of the qualities that I need to work on. But overall, they're just part of who I am now. They're part of, who I've become as a man. and I don't think about like grounding anymore. I practice my grounding in the morning, and I feel I'm grounded because when I approach someone, they really enjoy it. They don't. I can feel that like I'm holding the space for them.
Yeah.
I'm leading. I'm more penetrating with my words. I can set boundaries. I can hold a container for someone. For example, if I need to talk about something urgent with my family, I can hold a container not only for me but for my entire family, or for a girl when I go out on dates.
Or your
I
little
can do
brother. I
that.
know you've changed your relationship with your little brother too, which is a big one for you. That's important for you. I remember you talking
Yeah,
about.
I think I see my little brother uh, as myself. Like I wanna give him the tools and the love and the things that I didn't have. And
Yeah.
so when I see him, I just see myself in him because he's shy, he's introverted, and that's just how I was. And I'm teaching him not to take his anger personal. I'm teaching him to, be more confident, to speak up during his class, and he loves it. And I even, when I go out, sometimes we go to the store and I approach a girl and he teases me. He's like, "You're always approaching girls. You're so confident." And, I love that because it's creating a new reality for him, um, which, I think he's learning very fast.
Nice. Nice. And so that brings us to the next part is you went from a guy who had never approached a girl in his life, actually avoided girls unless you met him at school, to a guy who gets instant dates, goes out and meets girls easily, talks to girls all the time, approaches all the time. And can you talk about what that transition was like?
Yes, absolutely. I think the biggest the biggest part for me was the biggest shift for me came after taking the week long. It was like a new person, like I was born again. After that workshop, I started approaching 3 days, three girls every single day for the next 90 days. Like I made it a commitment to myself to do that. And that was what really launched my growth to the next level, because first of all it built consistency around approaching. Second of all, you get more confident. You get in a flow. At the beginning, it's going to be super rocky. You're going to be like, struggling. I don't know what to say. You get approach a girl, and then, you get shut down, whatever. And then you build some momentum. And when the momentum hits, that's when you start getting into the best conversation. That's when you start meeting the best girls. That's when you start having the best interactions. And all of a sudden, you're like, who am I? Like I'm a completely new person. And the girls that you thought, you'll never approach, they're now actually, talking to you. They want to know more about you. They're interested in you. And it feels like it's almost unreal.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. And then you feel like you've regained a lot of power in the world because you're no longer afraid of how the big key here, and this is my opinion. You tell me if it's similar, is it's great if you can get girls, but if you feel powerless in the world, you're only going to feel disillusioned eventually anyways. The real thing is when you feel powerful in the world as a human being, as a man, as a woman, doesn't matter. When you feel like you can be you and you don't have to worry about what people think of you. If you want to say hi to somebody, say hi to somebody. If you don't, you don't. And if you don't say hi to somebody, you want to be quiet today. It's not because you're shy. It's because I'm taking time to nurture myself inside. But if I want to say hi to somebody, I will.
Yeah.
And that sense of freedom in the world is so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. You get to choose what you want to do for yourself. You get to set your own boundaries. You get to be proactive and not reactive
Yeah.
to whatever comes your way. And, to add to your point, it gets to the point where you're actually you actually have to reject girls to because you have to take time for yourself. I was like, I really don't want to talk to this girl, or maybe she's not the kind of girl that you really want to meet, and so, or that you want to hang out with. And you actually, you have to say, you know what, I'm not feeling it,
Yeah,
and you're gonna let that go.
that's another attitude change that guys get, is they start to realize they don't want to meet every girl. Just because she's hot doesn't mean you want to go on a date with her. She might be hot, she might be sexy, she might be beautiful, but as soon as you start talking to her, yeah, the end is there's no match. She's pretty enough that I want to meet her, just like a guy's sexy enough that a girl wants to say hi. But if he's not vibing with her, he's not vibing with her. And you start to reach this point where you're like, nah, not interested. And you got picky. And that's another powerful come from. I'm more picky now about who I hang out with and spend my time with. And I think
Yeah,
that's important too.
it's super important because you need time for yourself. You need time to really like get to know yourself. And I think the biggest problem that I see with uh, that I saw with myself when I first came to Fearless was I wanted to please everybody. I wanted to be liked by everybody. Like, I'm gonna learn uh, all these qualities. I'm gonna embody them and I'm gonna master them, and then everybody's gonna like me, and I'm gonna make everybody happy. And that's the opposite added to that, or the opposite of what happens is you actually have to set more boundaries. You actually have to be more uh, selfish with your time. You actually have to take care more. You learn to take more of you. You learn to take care of yourself first, rather than just giving away your power. And
Yeah,
it just feels like, oh, this feels fucking amazing.
that's it. Yeah. We were doing some of that. What, yesterday? Was that yesterday? We were doing some of
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
we did some anger.
Anger work. Yeah. Learning to have a proactive relationship to your anger, which pulls you out of apathy, grief, and fear, guys. So it's already 5:42. We can only stay until about 6. So I'm going to take a quick look at these questions and see what we got here. How you guys doing out there? You enjoying this call? I wanted you guys to get a perspective of somebody he's not a coach, but he's been through it. He's helped out at workshops. He got started accidentally by showing up at a integrated man summit, and he really got into it after that. So, and it's all about the qualities. He helped a lot with the ebook, so he understands these qualities inside out. He's a writer, and that's what it's really about. Fearless is about becoming powerful as a man more than it is about getting women. It's also about getting women. If you want dates, it's actually easier once you become powerful as a man, and you draw more powerful, more confident women, more interesting women, rather than just trying to get women for sex. And then you have better sex anyways. You have amazing sex with amazing women that you really love to be with, that love to be with you. And that's what it comes down to. And I want the same thing for women, guys, for the women that come on these calls. I'm going to take a look. Okay, let's get to the question here. So we got one that came in at 5:06. I don't know if it really relates to the topic. Let's see. I'll let Jonathan play with it a little bit. Maybe you can answer this and see. I want to see what you'll say. Today, while walking, I met a girl whom I've known for a while. She saw and called me, and we started walking. She was with a friend. Though we were walking together. She was talking completely to her friend, and we were walking, and I kind of felt stiff and stifled and passive. And I didn't speak much, and I didn't feel assertive, powerful, or like his dominant self. Also, when I am in this passive state, I feel numb, stifled when someone challenges me. So this is a really good one. Now that I've read it, I love the topic. So how do I get out of this and be my assertive, confident self in times of need? And this comes back to what we talked about right at the beginning of the call, does it not? The silence.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about from your perspective on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I see, I think, is something that I used to do a lot, and that is I used to take myself out of interactions all the time. So that's the first thing I see here is you don't you're not feeling well, you're feeling a little like you said, stiff, and so you make that wrong. You make that uh, wrong, and so you automatically start to pull away your energy, and she feels that, and she doesn't want to engage with someone that's not feeling, open or owning how they truly feel. And so the first thing that I would do is really just owning how I feel and letting her see how I truly feel inside, and not making it right or wrong, and speaking from that place of congruency. If you're not, if you don't really have much to say, but you're staying present with her when listening, and your communication, your eye contact with her, that communicates everything she needs to know. It's not about the words. It's not about um, what you do. It's or what you say. It's about the energy that you bring in. And so one of the things that I do when I feel like I'm not in the state that I feel stiff, one of the things I do is I just simply allow it. I feel everything that I need to feel in the moment, and I still talk. And if I get really honest, listen, I'm not having a good day, but I like hanging out with you, or I like chatting with you. I like our conversations that we have. How's your day going? But speaking from that place of authenticity. Um, Another thing that could be happening, and I don't know if this is true, is one of the reasons I take myself out from interactions is because I'm attached to the outcome. And so if I feel that, I'm not in that positive, happy state, I feel like I'm gonna I'm gonna mess it up. And so I don't give it a shot. I don't allow myself to just be my true self, because I'm so attached to the outcome that I don't wanna mess with it. And so you don't take you don't take the shot, and
And what
you
about silence? Have you ever used silence as a tool? Have I ever had you do that as an exercise?
know.
Like, have you ever walked with somebody and practiced being the quieter one, but yet it's getting them to open you because you're so present, because you're so calm, because you're so open hearted? Have you ever just stopped talking and stood there and just relaxed and let them try to figure out how to talk to you again? Have you ever walked away and came back? I've done this when I first started doing this. Is the first time I did it. I walked away and I was really practicing grounding and presence. And I went to the bathroom, came back, and the girl I'd been talking to was talking to some other guy, and he was rambling away, and I could see he was kind of racy. So I
Mhm.
said, I'm curious if this will work. So I walked over and I stood there kind of next to both of them, and I just opened my heart and I kind of enjoyed her and relaxed. And whereas in the past, I would have been in my head, nervous, trying to figure out what to say. And I just waited to see what they would do. And sure enough, she turned back, started talking to me. And that was my first experience of it many, many years ago, because I really just focused on enjoying, relaxing. And then I've done it many times since. I've actually done it on purpose many times, walk away, come back when somebody else is talking, or walk and just practice being open and fluid and flow. People feel it. And so that'd be a really good practice for you to take on too, because it sounds like he's really uncomfortable with being quiet, with being not saying anything, or speaking his truth, like you said. Hey, you know what? I'm really quiet today, or something like that. You see what I mean?
But like you said, it all comes down to, like you said, everything comes down to enjoying your body,
Yeah.
enjoying whatever it is
Freedom
going
from
inside of
outcome.
you. Yes.
Freedom from outcome. You can't do any of this stuff without, you can interrupt, you can ask questions, you can jump in, as long as you're free from outcome. You can use silence. And it's amazing, because if you're not free from outcome, you're going to be either trying to manipulate the tension, pushing on it to try to make something happen, or you're going to be trying to get away from the tension and decrease it out of fear, instead of just having fun with it. And there's a big difference, and people feel the difference. Okay. There's a lot you can do once you're free. There's a lot of stuff you can do in a situation like that, where you can be more bantery or joking or playful or open, and you don't have to be quiet. But if you can't be quiet, then who you're being underneath all that conversation is off. Okay, let's check the next one. How do you get out of your head and stop analyzing? I'm getting more into my body, but even when I'm in my body, I still get intrusive thoughts that are over analyzing how I'm coming across in social interactions. This is from Trey. What do you got there, Jonathan?
So for me, one of the things that I do when I'm getting, into you call the spins, right? It's just you get thought after thought after thought, and you can't stop it. Is I take at least 5 minutes to just welcome all the thoughts, and I give myself permission to be in my head, because the more I resist being on my head, the more I am going to be in my head. And so I take 5 to 10 minutes to just welcome all the thoughts, all the emotions, and then slowly just start feeling my legs again. Start relaxing into my body. What can I feel right now? Can I feel my legs? Or can I just stretch a little bit slowly? Just trying to feel the parts that are already activated in my body, and slowly waking up the parts that need to be activated. And I think that a lot of guys, they think they're in their heads, but they're not. They say, "Oh, like I'm in my head right now." Like, no, you're not. You're actually feeling a lot. It's just
And
the
I see, you see
illusion.
both sides. Some guys say they're in their body when they're in their heads. Some guys say they're in their heads when they're in their bodies. Very common.
Yeah, very true. And so at some point, you're gonna have to trust that you're feeling something, and start stop making the learning process, wrong. Because even after 2 years, you're still gonna get in your head here and there. Like, it's just gonna happen. It's just part of the natural process. But you need to be comfortable with allowing it to happen, so that you feel, because the more comfortable you feel allowing it to happen, the easier you'll get over it, and you'll be like, yeah, I'm in my head. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, because you're not taking, like, he's taking his analytical thoughts and making them mean something. And that's what you mean by allowing, right? Is
Yes.
hear your maniacal thoughts and say, oh, those are just thoughts in the background, like clouds in the sky. They're not real. They're not even me. And when you reach that point where you don't think you realize your thoughts really don't have to mean anything. They don't have to have power over you. You can just watch them go by. That's when you start to go free of them. That's the first step before you can actually let them go and let the emotions that are driving them go. So that's what he means by welcoming, guys. So let that in. Good question, Trey. Thank you. Let's continue on. Sean, sometimes when I'm communicating, I get into a flow state of not being able to remember anything that we talked about. Is that something that we can be more aware about to remember the little details? If so, is this helpful? If so, what is helpful steps we can take to remember those details? So he's not remembering from his flow state, from conversation. That's interesting to me. What do you think?
I think it's more important to focus on the feeling. How is this person actually making me feel?
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to remember. That's
I also
what.
wonder if his flow state's a little still not fully embodied yet, and is a little bit coming from a race or a rush or disembodiment. Because when I'm really embodied, I can remember a lot. If I'm really present, deep in my body, I remember almost everything. But when I'm racing, the state pumped racing, what I call flow states, where you're racing out of your, like, going, sometimes you forget things. You don't remember everything as much. Now I'm talking about like the important stuff. What I remember, and actually the better way to put it is, what I remember in flow state is anything that had an emotional emphasis. If I'm really in feeling, if she was really sad at this moment and said something, I'm going to remember that. If she was really excited, I'm going to remember that, because I'm going to be in flow state with her. So the question I would have is, are you in flow state feeling the other person's emotions? Because the emotions are what make you remember. Or are you disassociated from those emotions? Do you remember having experiences like this?
Yeah, I do. And I think that the emotions are actually the indicators of where the conversation needs to go. That's the way I see it now. Like, I didn't think of it like that, but it was like how they make me feel. It's like, okay, it creates a sensation in my body. Now I'm curious about it, and I want to know more about that. And so I just kind of follow the feeling. It's like, oh, this is interesting. And so the feeling becomes the guiding of the conversation itself.
Yes.
And I don't have to remember all the details. More like, oh, that's interesting. You sound like this, or things like that. And as long as you remember the feeling and you continue to, like stay present and enjoy it, you don't have to, at least in my experience, I haven't had to remember like all the little details. And because we're so in the moment that it's just, we're just like so lost in it. And that's the experience you want to create for a girl, right? You want to make her feel seen. You want to make her feel like she means something to you.
And that's what we both want, really. When we talk to a girl, she wants to feel seen. You want to feel seen. You want to feel like you're seeing each other. That's the powerful experience, and you're letting her in. So, and I think you just nailed it right there. Like, if you feel her sadness, then you're going to remember that, and you're going to be like, "Why are you sad?" or "What's going on?" or "Tell me more about that," versus disconnected from her emotions, trying to think about the next thing to say, and then you completely miss her sadness, which was the next thing to say. So, and how can you forget that?
You could
So,
you could
huh?
feel the disappointment when you miss that, because when
Yeah.
you're first learning it, and you're like, okay, where do I take the conversation next? And you could almost see the disappointment in their faces when you don't acknowledge the actual feeling. And I'm like, okay, I
Yeah,
get
and
it.
in the past, when I've recorded audio of people talking, I can hear so many things they miss. And I'm like, oh, you missed this, because you were thinking,
Mhm.
you weren't present. You just, look what she just said here. Let me play it again. Listen to what you just missed this. And stuff like that. Um, okay, how would you explain energy? What is it really?
Feeling for me, I would say it's feeling, and because yeah, I think it's just feeling when you're feeling good, you give energy, positive energy to the world.
Well,
And I'm just rambling
emotion,
here.
any emotion. If you can feel an emotion, it's energy. Emotion is energy in motion. That's what it means. And so the heavier the emotion, the heavier the energy. The lighter the
Uh,
emotion, the lighter the energy. So therefore, you're feeling energy all the time. You just call it emotion. And then there's the exchange of energy from one person to another, and that's done through feeling what you just said. So electricity is an energy. It has a specific feeling if you touch it, for sure. But there's all kinds of stuff like this. If you want to understand that we're all really basically one, and we're constantly exchanging energy, go study quantum physics for a little bit, and I think you'll start to come to that conclusion more and more. Um, okay, anonymous. Let's see. When I don't have any date appointed in the weekend next week, I am in fear when I talk to girls and they can feel it. Oh, I'm assuming he's talking about a date to go out with a girl. If he doesn't have one set up, he's in fear when he talks to girls. That's my best guess right now. What can I do for this? I can't always have date appointed all the time.
so what I'm reading from this, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think there's an attachment, there's an attachment. You want a safety net, right? So, and I've seen this happening with me, it's like if there's a girl interested in me, then I feel more, uh, more confident to go out there and put myself out there, because even if I get rejected, I know that, I have something. So I feel like, you're attaching your worth to girls, and this is something we do always at the beginning when you're first learning to approach women and get dates. There's a part of you that's so attached to the outcome that you feel that your worth is actually your ability to get girls, right? And that's something that I sometimes struggle with, even as of now. You go out and sometimes, you get rejected, and sometimes you do well. But if you are not happy when you get rejected, then there's an attachment. There's an attachment to the outcome. There's an attachment to getting girls. And so if you're familiar with the process of revealing and releasing, then you definitely have to, do some welcoming and, to the attachment of your worth related to, your ability to getting girls. That's the main thing I see here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So you just do some releasing on that and get comfortable with being afraid. There's nothing wrong with being afraid. It doesn't have to own you. Fear is just another emotion. And then eventually it bothers you less and less when you realize the fear doesn't matter. Fear can actually be fun too. That's another thing people don't understand. Jumping out of an airplane, going to watching a horror movie, scaring each other. This all be fun. So change your relationship to fear. Fear is just extra energy waking you up too. Let's go to Francisco here. I was working on my turn. I was working on my turn on, excuse me. I was working on my turn on in a restaurant one night, and in comes two young women, and I was feeling the vibration in my pelvis and looked up and saw a girl looking at me like she was locked in, and I was surprised. I did not do anything. I was stuck, did not walk up to her to interact. What do I need to work on to get proactive on that?
Well, you need to approach, buddy. You need to take action.
Well, if he was down in his pelvis, he was probably lower in his body than he's used to being, and she noticed.
Yeah,
Because I noticed when girls are walking from their pelvic energy or from their second chakra, grounding, even if they're not turned on, just grounding, I notice immediately over the girls that aren't.
Yeah, there's like an energy like pulling you. It's like
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So I think for this one, there's if you don't take action when you see this girl that you really wanted to talk to, that means that there's some fear of approaching or approach anxiety, right?
Yep.
The fear of getting rejected. And so you're going to have to work that out. And you can do that through the revealing process. Do some welcoming and letting go of the anxiety. And on top of that, do some approaching, and then do again some welcoming and revealing after you do the approach, or even before you do the approach.
And it's not uncommon. You've noticed it's not uncommon that as you get lower in your body, you find more of anxiety. Like up here, when I'm locked out of my lower body, I'm good, and then I drop a little lower. Shit, I'm scared again. And then there's always that saying, I'm going backwards. No, you're going forward, because you're getting deeper in your body into more repressed fear and then processing it. So would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the more embodied you get, and you're always getting more embodied if if you're following some of the exercises that Brian is giving you, you're every day getting more embodied, whether you realize it or not. And so there's parts of your body waking up, and there might be some anxiety stored in those parts of your body, which means that every time you go out, you're gonna feel a little bit more of that anxiety. And it's not wrong. It just means that you're feeling more, and it's a great thing. Before I thought that feeling nervous was bad, but it's actually a great thing, because you have to say less. If you grounded and you're nervous and you lock in with a girl, you don't have to say much, and they'll be interested. They want to talk to you. They get curious about you. And so to me, I know I got it when I'm feeling nervous, because if I'm not feeling nervous, it's like they can't really feel me then.
And how is that different than when you're nervous? And because a lot of guys have the opposite experience. When I'm nervous, they're going to reject me. And why? What is the difference between the two types? Because they are distinctly different things you're doing.
Yeah. So the first one is you're being reactive to your nervousness. It means that you don't own it, you're ungrounded, and you're in your head, and you transfer all that energy towards her, and you're like, excuse me, I just want to say you're beautiful, but it's so reactive. There's no grounding element to it, and that just feels like, it's like, imagine the feeling that you're getting and like pushing it on someone else. It's like, it just doesn't feel good. Whereas you're grounded, you're nervous, but you're enjoying her. You're like, yeah, I'm really fucking nervous right now, but
It's
I
like,
have to
yeah,
come talk
you're
to
not
you.
only enjoying her, you're enjoying your own nervousness.
Yeah,
You're like, I like being nervous. You make me nervous, and I like that. That's a different energy.
yeah.
You own the shit out of it,
The first one, you're pushing the energy towards her, and the second one, you're allowing her to experience it, but you're grounding it. And so
Yes.
she's watching you go through all these emotions, and in a way, face your own fear in a grounded way. Like, I mean, that's the
Exactly.
sexiest thing.
Okay. Okay. We got one more question, then we're going to close out. But I just want to remind you guys, if you're watching this video for the first time on YouTube, we really appreciate the comments. We really appreciate the likes. If you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can get every update and hit that bell icon. These things are really help us to keep growing the channel and give you exactly what you want. And we also figure out a lot of what you want to learn from the comments. So definitely put comments in. And we really appreciate everybody that was here today. Now, one more question from Cry. My friends and people around me get laid, and I feel so frustrated, jealousy, and fearful. This feeling overwhelming me, and I don't want to do anything else because I can't cope with this feeling. What is much craving fear? Want it so much craving fear. Yeah, a lot of wanting there. You want to talk to that?
Yeah, I mean, so that's one of the things, that I'm currently struggling with is, you start to get dates, and now you want to take it things to the next level. And obviously, I'm surrounded by Anthony, by Josh, and they have more experience than I have. And sometimes, sitting, watching them succeed makes me also a little, self-conscious of of my own growth, and it makes me a little jealous, yes, and it makes me, because we're all humans, we're all experiencing these emotions. um Everybody is. So it's the same thing that you use for everything. The main or the core tool that we use here at Fearless, which is the revealing process. Everything that has to do with processing emotions, you can use the revealing process and start welcoming the frustration, start welcoming the jealousy. And the most important thing is not to not make it right or wrong, because if you're a nice guy, you're going to have trouble welcoming the jealousy, you're going to have trouble welcoming the frustration, because there's anger in it, because it doesn't feel good in your body. And so you're going to eventually want to get away from those emotions rather than welcoming them and processing them in your body, so you can finally let them go. And but it, again, it's just the revealing process.
Yeah, a big part. The hardest thing for guys to do is welcome jealousy, and it's a very powerful process to do it. I had to do it many times in my life. I used to be extremely jealous all the time, and I got around a bunch of girls that I liked, particularly one who was constantly out socializing and dating, and I wasn't dating her. This back when I couldn't date at all, and she just saw me as a friend. And so I would sit there and I just welcome all the jealousy. Every time she went out, every time she had sex with somebody new, I would just welcome it. Instead of fighting it, instead of getting mad at her, instead of getting mad at myself, I just could let myself be jealous. What does it feel like? What is it? Where do I feel it in my body? And that started to get me to accept where I was at so I could make a change. And that was shortly after that I began this journey that brought me to where I'm at now. And then years later, when I was dating a lot more and I got into a relationship with a girl, and it was an open relationship, and she was seeing other people and we were telling each other about who we were seeing and everything. Boy, that took my jealousy to the next level, because she'd go out and I would purposely stay home on a night. She'd go out just to see how I feel, because I wanted to get rid of all jealousy. And I would sit there and feel it fully and welcome it and meditate in it until it started to subside, until I started to laugh at it. And then at a certain point, it has an amazing effect when you stop getting so jealous. Women don't understand it sometimes, and that draws them in. Why aren't you? Does this bother you? No. Really? Well, why? And then sometimes you're like, but you got to let them know. The mistake that you'll make there is you'll be so not jealous that they'll be really curious, but then they're really craving. They're trying to use jealousy now as a connection tool. And you got to let them know, no, baby, I think you're fucking beautiful and I'm not jealous, but come here. Let me tell you how beautiful you are. Because she wants to feel you there, right? And that's the next mistake that people will make. But you can't get past jealousy. Lester Levinson talks about when he was jealous too. He said it was one of the hardest releases he ever did. He would pictured he was super jealous, one of his worst emotions. And he pictured the girl he loved who left him for another guy, with that other guy, and said it would just set him off because he lost her to that. It's the girl he wanted to marry. And then he'd picture them two having sex together. And he started to get to the point where he wanted to get to the point where if she wanted to be with him and he wanted to be with her, that he was happy for both of them even having sex together, because that's what made them happy. And he said, I was able to do it. And he said, when that got that release, he goes, it basically changed my life. That was a huge shift in his life. And I would say me letting go of tons of jealousy was a massive shift in my life too. It allows me to really be able to sit and appreciate a woman more and not constantly worry about what she's doing, and, and they feel the difference. And suddenly they're like, I remember telling this one girl once, she liked this bartender at a bar we go to. He was cool. He's a friend of mine, but he was a good looking guy. And we had just started dating, and we walk in and she goes, oh, I'm going to go talk to Larry. And his name was Larry. She goes, oh, I'm going to go say hi to Larry. And I knew what was up. And she looked at me, is that okay? And I said, yeah, go talk to Larry. Flirt with him for a little bit too. I'll be over here hanging out with my friends. And I went over to my friends where there were some other people and other girls, and we all started laughing. It was all of 5 minutes, and she was standing next to me again. And it's powerful. And, it's real.
You're setting them free, right? You're not, your happiness doesn't depend on them.
Yeah.
And
On validation.
That's what they want. Yeah. They want to be free. They want to bring you happiness, but they don't want to be the source of your happiness.
Exactly. They still want you to claim them. Yeah, baby, you're mine. Come here, you're mine. They just don't want you to be constantly, what are you doing? Where are you doing it? Where are you at now? And that's so not sexy. So you can get past this, dude. The first step is you got to accept the position you're in. Get comfortable being the guy that doesn't get as many girls for now. But once you can do that and you can see the truth, then you can start to learn, because your mind will get clear and you can start to grow and you can start to change. But if you're constantly fighting that frustrated jealousy and getting mad, maybe judging your friends deep down inside, judging yourself, it's really hard to grow and learn. So the first step is to get comfortable where you're at so you can move to a new place of being, so you can grow out of it instead of pushing it down and pushing it away. That's the aversion. You're in an aversion most likely, and then an attachment to change.
Yep. It's just
revealing process
with emotions.
Yeah, revealing process teaches all that detail. So, okay, guys, great class today. Really enjoyed it. Remember that we have got the Integrated Man Summit coming up really soon. There's a link in the chat for it already. It's going to be the first weekend in December. Excuse me, not November, December. It's going to be live, and it's going to be online. The live version is going to have private discussions with us as a team. I don't know if Jonathan's going to be there. He might. But we're going to have all the coaches speak and teach from these principles of being, demonstrate them, vicariously transfer the feeling to you, because they're not just talking about it. We're going to be doing it, demoing it, feeling it, and you're going to get a lot of feeling energy from it, which can be very powerful in changing and shifting your life. So I highly recommend, if you want to get out and you're tired of sitting at home, get to Florida, because Florida is an awesome place, super sunny. Even in December, there's a nice sun. It's not too hot, but it's not too cold either. And where we're staying is a beautiful, nice hotel, super sexy. And it's really bonding. It is a bonding experience, and that's what it was created for. You'll be having private, unrecorded discussions off camera for people that show up live. Plus, I'll be doing some live releases off camera for people that show up live. So if you want to get all that personal experience, I highly recommend you come. Next year, we're going to start marketing these events real early, and we're going to start putting a lot of energy into them, so they're going to get a lot bigger. That's the intent next year, is to make them a lot bigger. This year will probably be small, so it's your chance to get a lot of personal attention from the whole staff. Next year, probably be more difficult to do that. I guarantee it'll be more difficult. So if you're thinking about it, check out the link, get started, and make it happen. And what do you say, Jonathan, about the Integrated Man Summit? You've been to 2 of them? You've been to 1?
I've been, to 2 of them, and it's fun getting out there, especially during the winter in Miami. The weather is perfect. Girls, tons of beautiful women out there, especially Latinas. And if you're a guy that wants to get in touch with your turn on, especially in Miami, you'll see that women are more they're more comfortable with their sexual energy, and you can flirt Latinas. A lot more with them. Yes. And so go out, get out there, and start working towards the dating life that you want.
And it's just a sexy town. The town is built on turn on, and sexual energy, sexy energy, and they love it. And so that's why we're right on the beach too. So sitting out on that beach is really nice too.
Yeah. Yeah, and like Brian said, it's you're gonna get to bond with other masculine men, and the reality is that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you want to be attractive, like myself, I'm always around Brian. I'm always around the coaches because I know that it's only a matter of time before all of that transfers to me, and it is. So get yourself out there and get surrounded with the kind of people that are living the life that you want.
Some of my favorite events were seminars, not workshops, even though workshops are so super powerful. Because I sat down, met a huge, amazing lifelong friends at some of these seminars, and that really launched the change in my life, especially in this dating area. There we sat down, met all kinds of people, socialized, went to lunch together, went out in the evening together. Yeah, those were some really good experiences. So thank you for reminding me of that. That's another reason why I'm here today. Okay, guys, have a beautiful night, and we will see you in the next video. I want to thank Jhonattan for being here. Everybody send Jhonattan some love. Send him a thank you, whatever, a little thumbs up or something. And we'll be back. I think we'll be back Tuesday, if not Tuesday, for Thursday for sure. No, Tuesday is the election, so I can't guarantee I'll be here Tuesday. I might be off putting in my ballot, taking care of that stuff. So we'll see from there. But then after the election, we'll be right back on. So hopefully you guys had a good time. Love seeing y'all, and I love having the ladies on here. Good having you, Mackenzie. And with that said, remember,